Hey bookworms, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Florence and this is the One More Book podcast YouTube channel, also as a podcast. Today we are doing something different, something that is super close to my heart, something that I love doing. If you know me, you know that I love to read. I love to read diversely, but I would have to say that what has helped me in reading diversely is the fact that I'm actually in multiple book clubs. I am in several book clubs. There are some that don't even exist anymore. Because of that, I have collected so many books and I have read so many books that I would never have picked out myself. So today I'm going to take you along through these incredible books, that some that I have read, some that I only own, some that I have no idea what they're about. The discussions that we've had and why I joined the particular book clubs, if I can remember. And just to share why it might be a decision that maybe could also help you. And for me, it was the best decision that I have ever made as a reader. So being in different book clubs or being in a book club has completely transformed my reading life. It has pushed me out of my comfort zones. Just like I said, the books that I would never have picked out myself. It introduced me to new friends, a new community, and to genres that I never thought I would love. But most importantly, it has given me a community of people who love talking about books as much as I do. So I'm not just always talking to myself. The discussions, the different perspectives, it's just amazing because I'm in book clubs with people who are all over the world. So just hearing about their experiences and their thoughts on these books just makes it double enjoyable. It's just amazing. So let's dive into some of these books and some of the highlights that I remember when I read these books. So I will be doing this in no particular order because that will take me years to plan them. So the first book is In Every Mirror She's Black by Lola Akinmade Akerstrom. And this I read with the Fundi Sani Book Club, which began as a physical book club here in Hamburg, but it's transitioned into a virtual book club. The author is Nigerian. She's of Nigerian descent, and she lives in Sweden. So the book follows, I believe, 3 women. I'm not so 100% sure because I read it years ago, but it follows, I believe, 3 women, all African women who have arrived in Sweden and they're living 3 different lives. And it just shows, it tackles the themes of identity and finding yourself as a migrant, especially when you're living in a different country, different continent. Next is Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. I read this book when I was a teenager. I have older siblings and this is one of the books they were reading as a set book in English literature. So these are the books I could get my hands on or that I was allowed to read. So I remember reading it when I was a teenager and I read it again, I think it was last year but one. I was in a book club by a book talker called Lisa. And she had a Patreon book club. And this is one of the books we read. I loved reading it again and experiencing it again. Many people have read it. It's one of those pioneer books by African authors. Everyone knows Chinua Achebe. Everyone knows Things Fall Apart. Everyone knows Okonkwo. So I enjoyed this book. Next is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. And this is, I believe, like part memoir of by Maya Angelou. And I read this with, is it the Hangout? A digital book club that I'm in. And I did not read it. I bought the book. I started reading it. But I think I was just not in the reading mood because it was around over summer, during the summer holidays. And I think this book, for me, this book is a bit, I want to read it in the cozier season. So I think I'm going to read it in November. I'll do a buddy read. There's someone I can do a buddy read with. And I think I'll definitely love it. But I never managed to read it back then. This is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I read this back in 2020 or 2021. This book was really big on TikTok or on Bookstagram. Back then I was on Instagram, but not on the book side of it. But I think I was following someone who liked to share books, and they shared this. And I remember I had it on Audible. I read it as an audiobook before a book club that I'm in, Fundi Sani, read it again this year. So then I got the physical copy. I didn't love it. It's basically a crime, but more of like a irony, full of irony or sarcasm, something like that. But still a crime story. I didn't love it. It's exactly what it says, the title says. So it was just too in your face. But I understand why people liked it, especially with the younger people. It just wasn't for me. Next is one that I absolutely loved, How Beautiful We Were by Imbolo Mbue. And this, I believe, we also read with Fundi Sani. And this book is so beautiful. It follows a young girl. She's born in a village. The village is called Kosawa. I still remember Kosawa. And this village, they're blessed with oil. I think oil in the ground. And there's a company, an American oil company that has come into the village, and they're extracting oil and causing so much pollution and harm to the soil, to the environment, to the people. And there's this young girl whose dad is very vocal against this, and she joins the fight. I love this book. I love anything that has to do with fighting for the environment, has my heart. So I absolutely loved this book. I actually have 2 copies of it. I don't know why, but I have 2 copies of it. Next is a book that I did not read. This was also a book pick with Liza on Book Talk. It's called Pieces by Helen Oyeyemi, and we started reading it. I believe she's a Black author based in the UK, and the book has a lot of magical realism or maybe science fiction. It was really difficult to understand. It starts with I think a couple who are on a mysterious train journey. I couldn't keep up. I just couldn't keep up. So we ended up not even discussing the book because none of us read it to the end. But maybe I will give it a try when I'm not under so much pressure, I think. Next is All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. And this is one of the YA books that I've read. I'm not so big a YA reader because I'm always just inside. As I read the book, I'm always very critical of those kids, and I have to remind myself that these are teenagers. Yeah, so this we read with Fundi Sani, and it is traumatic. It's very traumatic, and it follows 2 teenagers, Salahuddin and Noah, I remember, and they're living in this small town called Juniper, and they are both from Pakistan. They are both originally from Pakistan, and they're living in they grapple with so much, not only what teenagers usually grapple with, but they're immigrants, there's racism, there's transgenerational trauma, there's just family feuds, family fights. So there's a lot on top of being teenagers. It is very heartbreaking, very traumatic, but I enjoyed it. It's very well written. And for a YA, I actually enjoyed reading it. Next is a surprising book, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. And this was, I believe, the first book that we read with my book club, the One More Book Club, where we pick books. Every member gets to pick a book. So this was the first book. And I believe it follows a woman, Nora, who I think she decides that she can't live anymore. And then she finds herself in a place before you die. So she ends up in a library, and in this library, she gets to experience all the different ways that her life would have gone, the directions that her life would have taken. And it was really big, I think, on TikTok. People loved it. I think I wanted it to be more. I wanted it to be more. I had criticisms about it. Yeah, I think I reviewed it. You can read my review, but it just fell short for me because it was a very hyped book. I think that's the problem with books that are overhyped. Yeah, but I read it. This is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I love this book. This I read with Cindy, Book of Sins book club. She's a book content creator who is based in Trinidad, I believe. It's an online book club. I wish we have I think a 6-hour time difference between Germany and Trinidad. So it's all the book club meetings are always so late for me. It's like midnight or 1 a.m. So that's why I don't get to attend all the book club meetings, but I managed to attend this because the authors, she really tries her best that the authors also join the meeting, and she reads Caribbean books. It's a book club that reads Caribbean books. So this I loved, and it's the story of Eleanor Bennett, who has died and has left a will for her 2 kids. So the 2 kids show up at the lawyer's office for the reading of the will, and in it, she's left them a recipe for a black cake, which I wanted to try. I have never managed to bake it. It's still on my to-do list. And she's left them a will, like a tape recording of her telling them about her life story. I loved it. It's emotional. It's an emotional story, a roller coaster. I loved it. This is a book that I enjoyed reading. I read it twice. First, I read it, I think, a year or 2 years ago. It's Mr. Loverman by Bernadine Evaristo. I love it. I love books with problematic characters, especially main characters. And I loved Barrington Jedediah Walker, or Barry. I loved Barry as the character. He's a Jamaican man. Was he Jamaican? No, he's Antiguan. Sorry. He's Antiguan, and he's living in the UK. He's married with 2 kids. And he has a friend, a lifelong friend, who he has been cheating with on his wife. So everyone knows that Maurice is his best friend, but they're actually lovers. They've been lovers since they were like 16, and now they're like 80. It's just so well written. I love this book. I read this together with my book club. I believe it was the second book that we read. Absolutely loved it. I cannot forget Barry. No. Next is Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, a novel by Jane Allen. We read this together with Fundi Sani. And I think it's a series. It's part of a 3-book series. I didn't like this book. I think I did not resonate with the author. I never have to resonate with the character or what's written in the book. But for this, it was just too out there for me. It's about this Black woman living in the US. I believe she has a grandmother who is white. Yes. So her grandmother is white. So she's experiencing racism in the workplace. She works in a news agency like CNN or something. Yeah, and I don't know. She's in a relationship. I don't know anyone like that, so I couldn't really relate to it. I didn't enjoy it, unfortunately. The God of Good Looks by Brian McIvor. I read this with the Hangout Cafe or the Bookmark Book Club. It's also an online book club, and it's about a young woman who made a mistake. She had an affair with someone who is big in the government, and then their affair came out, and she's trying to build her life after that, and she's trying to find her way career-wise, trying to find out who is she when she's not in this relationship. And life in, it's also based in Trinidad, so it's like also a Caribbean read. I didn't enjoy it much. I loved the makeup tips because she's a makeup artist, but she includes, like, the author is a professional makeup artist, so she includes like stories, processes of doing makeup, which I have zero skills in, but I love reading. I love the cover. I didn't enjoy it, unfortunately. This is Daughters of Africa, an international anthology of words and writings by women of African descent from the ancient Egyptian to the present, edited by Margaret Busby. So this girl is thick. She's thick. She is, we are reading it with an online book club called, I don't even have a name for it, but it's by Hadija, by Hadija of Read Africana on Instagram. And we have not finished reading it. So it's just a collection of short excerpts from books by different Black women of African descent. And we are only doing, like one excerpt or one author per month. So it will probably take us years, but I love it. It has introduced me to really, really amazing authors that I didn't know about. Has made me buy those books also. So this is something that will take us time, but I'm enjoying discovering the new authors that I never knew about. This is An Unusual Grief by Yewande Omotoso. And this we read with Fundisani. And this I remember reading. It's about a woman whose daughter has just unalived herself. And so she's traveling to where her daughter lived to go and like clean up after her, but also because they were estranged with each other. So as she is going through her daughter's things, she's getting to know her daughter again, but the daughter isn't there anymore. It's a very gut-wrenching book because mother-daughter relationships are always so murky. It's usually like, very murky, going through murky waters. So she's doing this while the daughter is not there. And also in the process, she's also learning a bit more about herself. I enjoyed it. It's a sad book, but I still enjoyed it. Redemption by Karen Kingsbury with Gary Smalley. And this is a New York Times best-selling author. I mean, Karen Kingsbury. I've never read anything else by her. I didn't finish this book, unfortunately. I think I got to page 118. I read it together, I believe, with the Hangout Cafe. It's a Christian-based book about, I believe, a couple, and the man cheats on the wife. And the wife is like, you are not leaving me. Because he comes and says, I want a divorce. And she's like, no, I'm going to do everything in my power to make you stay. And that's a principle that I do not stand by at all. Zero. All for when things don't work, when you're not happy, you are not a tree, you can move. So I think that's why the general principle of the book is something I'm not for. So I was just like, I'm not interested. Yeah. Unfortunately, another book that I haven't read is The Pilgrim's Progress, a readable modern day version of Jane Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress by Jane Bunyan. And it's also, I read it also with Hangout Cafe. I did not read it. I think I'm on page 19 is where I stopped. And it's also Christian based, so I guess that's why. A book that I absolutely loved is On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous, a novel by Ocean Vuong. And we recently went for his book reading. He was in Hamburg. He's on a book tour for his newest book, which I have read and loved. And he's amazing, just as his writing is. That's exactly how he is. And this book is about a young man who is half Vietnamese, half American. And he now lives in the US. His family moved because of the war. They moved to the US. So he talks about life, living as an immigrant, a gay Asian boy. this book is traumatic, but also so important. I absolutely loved it. We discussed it. We read it with my book club, the One More Book Club. We discussed it this past weekend. So still, like, this book is one of the best books I've ever read. Ocean Vuong is amazing, and like everyone should read his books. He's a poet, so it's just the prose is just, you just can't get enough. Or I couldn't get enough. Definitely highly recommended. This is The Kaiser's Holocaust, Germany's Forgotten Genocide, by David Olusoga and Caspar W. Erickson. And this I read, I have not finished. I'm on page 57, clearly. I read it together, or I was reading it together with a book club on TikTok. Unfortunately, the person who was leading the book club suddenly stopped. So that's also because we were doing it in sections. So yeah, we didn't get that far. But of course, we all know, I didn't know, but now I know about Germany's fast genocide that was carried out in Namibia on the indigenous people who lived in the indigenous tribes or groups of people that lived in Namibia in the 1880s. A very important piece of history. I will definitely finish it in my own time because it's so important. This we read with my book club, the One More Book Club. It's The House of the Spirits by Isabel Allende. And this, unfortunately, wasn't such a hit in the group. This is the second book that I've read by her. I read Violetta, which I loved. And this one is kind of similar. I find it similar because it's about a family over 4 generations. So the main character is a young girl, and then we follow her descendants. And of course, Isabel Allende writes, she sprinkles in a lot of politics into her book. She's from Chile, I think. So I think that really influences her. And she also puts in socialist rants in the book. I just felt like after reading Violetta, it felt like I'm reading the same book all over again. I didn't really love it so much. It's an okay book, but not like, no, unfortunately not. We Are All Birds of Uganda by Hafsa Zayan. This we read with Fundi Sani. I didn't like it. It's a book about this young man. He's of Indian descent, but they live in the UK. So he's a lawyer or like a hotshot executive. And he feels like his life doesn't have purpose. Then he decides to resign from his job and travel to Uganda, where his parents and grandparents immigrated from. Yeah, but they are originally from India. So India, his lineage is like India and then Uganda and then the UK. So he moves to Uganda to try and find out, okay, my family never talks about their history. I want to find out more about them, which he does. But I just felt like it was looking at this history from the outside. And I think I was also disappointed to find out that the author she's not even of Ugandan descent. Actually, it's her husband who is Indian of Ugandan descent or Ugandan of Indian descent. So I just felt like, I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. But I think, no comment. I just didn't enjoy it. Next is The Marriage Class. 1 Class, 10 Couples, 10 Decisions by Adesua Oman Nwokedi. And I read this, I think, with the Hangout Cafe. It's about 10 couples who are going for these premarital counseling or classes. And it's just, we hear from each and every one of the couples. I found it too shallow. I was just like, when you get to the point where you're going for premarital classes, most of these relationships should have never happened. But I felt like the class is to like push people to get over yourself and I don't know. I just didn't see the need. Most of these people needed therapist, in my opinion, and not a premarital class, and individual therapy, not couple therapies. I didn't enjoy this book, unfortunately, and it had, I don't know. The author talks about writing several books, like she's in a rush, and I could feel that it felt very, yeah, not very rushed, just very rushed. I didn't enjoy it. This is Educated by Tara Westover, a book that I absolutely enjoyed. This is a memoir about a young girl. She's born in a Mormon family in the US, in Utah. And the family, the dad and the mom, they are, how do you call them? These people who are always preparing for the end of the world. There's a word. If I remember it, I'll put it somewhere here. So, and then they don't believe in medicine. They do everything themselves. They don't believe in school. It's just a cult. Basically, it's a cult. And what she went through and how she came out at the end, I was just like, how? After reading this book, I was just like, how did you? A really amazing memoir. One of the best memoirs that I've ever read. And I read it together with, I think, the Bookmark. No, the Hangout Cafe, or I'm not so sure. I can't differentiate which one it was, but I was absolutely blown away by her writing. So heartfelt, so heartfelt. Next is another book that I absolutely enjoyed. I think I read this with the Hangout Cafe. I think this is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. You can see, how much I tapped it. I love this book. Pachinko means these slot machines in South Korea, and it's a historical fiction, so it follows I think 5 generations of South Koreans from I believe the 1900s. So from a young girl Sunya to her great grandchildren. I loved it. I learned so much about South Korea. I learned that Japan was a colonialist. I didn't know so much. I learned so much in this book. It is a very captivating book. So well written. Absolutely love this book. This is a book that I haven't read. It's a collection of essays, Yellow Arrow Journal, Italo. And I read this, or I was supposed to read this with Fundi Sani, but I never did. I should. Yeah, I will. Butter Honey Pig Bread by Francesca Ekuyasi. Amazing book. I read this together with Fundi Sani. I traveled to Berlin last year for the African Book Festival, got my book signed. I have 2 copies of this in German and in English because I forgot to carry this. So she signed the English part. We interviewed her for a podcast interview, forgot to press record. I will never forget that. And hopefully she'll come back again on the podcast. But we absolutely enjoyed reading this book. It's about two girls, twins. They're born in Nigeria, and just follows their story as they move in different countries in the world. Taye and Keinde. I loved this book, and it includes recipes. I love books where food is included. I'm a foodie, so enjoyed this book. Enchanting. One word for this book is enchanting. Absolutely enchanting. Next is Sweetness in the Skin by Ishi Robinson. Based in Jamaica. I read this with, I believe, the Bookmark Book Club. It's also a Caribbean read. Follows this young girl who is living with her grandmother and her mom in a very downtrodden part of the city of Kingston. She's also living with her mom's sister, so like her aunt. And it just follows how her, and together with her auntie, they're trying to make it out of this life and the processes, what they go through as they're trying to come out of their situation. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. It felt like the author was writing this book from a place of elitist point of view. Like she was writing it from the outside. As she was writing about living in this part of the city, it felt like she hadn't really experienced it. I mean, you don't have to write only things that you've experienced, but I think she just didn't do it so well. It felt like, yeah, it felt a bit bird's eye view, if you get what I mean. That's why I think I didn't enjoy it as much. The First Woman by Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. This book has a different title. In the US, I think it's called A Girl Is Not a Body of Water, something like that. I love this book. As you can see, I read it together with, I think, the Bookmark Book Club. I love this book. It talks about this young girl, Chirabo, and she's a feminist, but she doesn't even know what the word means. It's not even, that word is never used in the book. But the women in this book are all feminists. There are even men who are feminists in this book. I absolutely loved it. It's based in Uganda. This is how to write about Uganda. This is how you write about Uganda. Absolutely love this. The Screw Tape Letters by C.S. Lewis. I was supposed to read this. As you can see, there's a bookmark in most of the books that I haven't finished. I think we were reading this with the Hangout Cafe. I did not read it, unfortunately. I also can't even remember what it's about. Maybe the devil. There's a conversation between someone and the devil. Maybe I will pick it up one day. This is The One Who Holds Me by Joanne Mbola. She's also a self-published author, I believe. I think we read this with the Hangout Cafe or the Bookmark Club. I don't know. I didn't like it. It's about a couple who've broken up. One is of Nigerian descent and one is of Ghanaian descent, and they both live in the US. They broke up. They had like this miscommunication. It's like a second chance romance. Didn't like it. Next is Decolonizing Wellness, a cutie BIPOC-centered guide to escape the diet trap, heal your self-image, and achieve body liberation by Dahlia Kinsley. I read this with Fundi Sani. It's an important book. But I feel like it was like an essay. It didn't need to be turned into a book. She kept on repeating herself over and over again. And for me, there was not a lot that was new. I think this book is especially good for the younger generation who haven't like made peace with a lot of these things, their self-image, their bodies, escaping the diet trap. I have. The struggle was real, but I have. So I think it's important for someone who is starting. I guess that's why it didn't resonate with me. But I think it's important. And I think because it's centered on QT BIPOC people, then it really helps a big percentage of people who exist in these communities, marginalized communities who need the help. So important, just not for me. Next is a book I recommended for Fundi Sani. This was a hit. Like 10 across all boards. This is Against the Loveless World by Susan Abulhawa. This book is earth-shattering. It shatters you in the most important way. Like, you need to be shattered, but you need to read this. She's a Palestinian author. The book is about a young woman now who finds herself sitting in a cube. It's called the Cube, an Israeli prison. So she's been there for decades, and we just learn about her life before. I think there's never been a better time to read a book by a Palestinian author. And this is fiction, but so important. 10 stars. 10 stars for me. Next is We Were Girls Once by Aiwanose Odafen. I read this together with the Fundi Sani book club. I didn't love it so much. I loved because it follows 3 women of Nigerian descent. I think one is based outside Nigeria, the other two are in Nigeria. And they were friends because their mothers were friends, their grandmothers were friends. So, but now they live separate lives. So it just follows how they are living with all these life challenges. I think there was only one that I wished her story would have been the only story in the book. The other two felt a bit forced to me. They weren't leading interesting lives for me. I think Ego's story touched me the most. So I didn't really enjoy it as much. I think there's a prequel to this book about the grandmothers. I think it's called We Were Women Once. That one has better reviews than this, so I might get that. Yeah, but wasn't for me. Another book that I have not read is Palace Walk by Magib Mahfouz. I think he's an Egyptian author. I think so. One of the well-known ones. And I read this together with a book club. She's a book talker, Mahi. And she has a book club on Fable, I think. It's online, but it has like thousands and thousands of people. I like smaller book clubs. So I guess that's why I also didn't really concentrate on and never even started it. But I will read it because it's important. Next is a book that I recommended. The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff. And we read this together with my book club, the One More Book Club. And it follows Gita Ben. It's based in a rural village in India. And we are following these women who were friends. And Gita, the main character, she's known in the village as the woman who made her husband disappear. So suddenly all the other women are coming to her to ask for help in getting rid of their nose rings, in quotes, to getting rid of their husbands. I love this book. She touches on very heavy themes in India a lot. But she mixes it with humor, so it's not so heavy. And it is like partially based on the real bandit queen who was called Pulan. Absolutely enjoyed reading this book. If you're looking for humor, dark humor in a book, get this. Invisible Women, Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men by Caroline Ciriado Perez. You were to read this with Fundisani Book Club. I got to page 5 because I was on Book Talk and people were like, please do not read that book. Please do not support that author. But I don't know if I'll ever read it. I don't know. Have you read this? I don't know. Next is A Spell of Good Things by Ayobami Adebayo. We read this with Fundi Sani. I did not like this book. I loved the book by the same author, the first book, Stayed with Me. But this, where we follow like two, it's based in Nigeria, so we are following two main characters, a young boy, Enyola, and Lola, a young woman who is training to be a doctor. So Lola is from a rich family, Enyola is from a poor family. Their lives somehow move parallel but meet later. Yeah. No, it had a lot of poverty. How do you call it? Poverty porn. I'm not trauma porn. So much of it. It wasn't for me. Unfortunately not. All About Love by Bell Hooks. We are reading this with Faziatek, the book club at Faziatek. I think we made it to maybe page 5. This is an essential read, essential read. That's why I'm happy to read it with a book club. And it may take us months or years to finish it because we only meet once, but it's so important, and I'm just happy that I'm able to discuss the themes in it with other readers. Things We Do Not Tell the People We Love by Huma Qureshi. Okay, I tapped it a lot. I loved it because it's by a Southeast Asian author. I don't know if she's Pakistan. I think she's Pakistan. She's from, yeah, she's, let me see. Not 100% sure, but I think she's from Pakistan. The book follows the main characters are mostly women, and just how they are going through life, all these experiences that they are having, and how they are keeping things hidden, how they are not speaking out, how they are trying to maintain peace. But I was just thinking, peace for who? Peace for who? Like, who deserves the peace? I loved it. I really did. I read it with Fundi Sani. This was also a book club pick with Fundi Sani. Home is Not a Country by Safia El Hilo. I did not read this book. I have not read it. I do not know what it's about. But I think it also deals with a mother-daughter relationship. So I will read this because I've had really good things about it. A Mouthful of Salt by Rim Gafar. She's a Sudanese author. I believe she's based in Canada. I loved this. We read it with Fundi Sani. It's about a small village in Sudan, I believe northern Sudan. They wake up one day and there are like wails and cries because a boy has drowned in the river, in River Nile. That's how it starts. And then a lot starts happening. Things, just terrible things start happening, and they're trying to see why are things happening to us in this village. But in this, in this story, she also brings up so many different themes: colorism, religion, violence against women. Yeah, just so much. I absolutely enjoyed reading this book. Next is A Kind of Madness by Uche Okonkwo. I love this book. It's a collection of short stories. It's a light read. I loved it because it's a light read. It's always difficult to find light reads in African literature, and this is one of them. 10 different stories, different themes, makes you really think deep, but they are light enough that you're like, okay, I can move on to the next. It's not like stop. I enjoyed it. It's beautifully written. I remember the story with the chicken soup. Yeah, it's a beautifully written collection of short stories. Another book that I read is with a book club. I believe the Bookmark Book Club is If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. I am so happy that I enjoyed this book. It was my first James Baldwin book, and I was scared. I was really scared. I was just like, if I do not love this book, I will be crucified by James Baldwin authors. But I loved it. It follows a story of a young couple, Trish and Foni. They're based in New York. They live in Harlem, and they're in love. They've known each other since they were kids. They're in love, and then something happens, and Foni is accused of a really, really heinous crime. He ends up going to jail, and like Trish has to now survive alone, and yeah, talks about really deep themes. The systemic racism in the US at this time, which is still going on right now. But there's a love story behind it. I enjoyed it. I hated that Trish had to become a superwoman suddenly. There was no soft life for her. But anyway, I loved the book. I enjoyed reading it. It's an easy read. You can finish it in one sitting. It's a small book. I read it on Audible, but I think I will get a physical copy. Another book that I read is The Masterpiece by Francine Rivers. I love that book. I think it's a retelling of someone, a prophet in the Bible. What was his name? Hosea? Someone, can't remember. So there's this woman who is a woman of the night, and but she's had a traumatic life. And then one day, this man shows up and says he's like God spoke to him and told him, this will be your wife. So she's like, what do you mean? What are you smoking? Me, your wife? Are you crazy? I loved it. I really, really enjoyed reading that. Francine River, I was just like, okay, I see you, I see why you're a best-selling author. It was really, really well written. I can't remember the name of this holy man. I will put it somewhere if I remember it. Next is Leah Unnoticed, Unwanted and Loved by Amanda Bedzra. We read it with the Hangout Cafe. I remember even the author came on during the meeting. I enjoyed it. It's about Leah in the Bible. There's Leah and Rachel. And Jacob came to marry Rachel. But then the dad switched up the girls, and then he married the wrong one, and he had to work another 7 years. I enjoyed it. It's a retelling of this story in the Bible, and it was just interesting to read it from a different point of view. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I had a physical copy too, but I gifted it to someone who a book lover in Canada, and she was so happy, and because I knew I wouldn't read it again, and I have it as an audiobook, but I enjoyed reading it too. Mame by Jessica George. We read that with Fundi Sani. I didn't enjoy it as much. I know people love it, especially here in the diaspora. I didn't. So Mame is like a title given to, like, mothers call their daughters Mame. It means mother. So it's like a praise, a name that is praising a young girl, but it's more of like parentification of kids, especially of young girls. So you're from a young age, you're being groomed to be taking care of yourself, taking care of people around you, taking care of men, always just taking care. And that's basically what Mame does. She lives with her dad. Her mom is usually in Africa, in Ghana, just comes in once in a while. The brother, absolutely useless. So she's taking care of the dad, who is, I think, chronically ill. And in the office, she's facing so much racism. It's based in the UK. The story is based in the UK. And she doesn't have anyone to talk to. It's just, it was a lot of trauma porn. Struggle. Not for me. Another book that I was supposed to read but didn't is Besaido by Yali Saweda Kamara. And I believe this author is from Ivory Coast or Sierra Leone, one of those countries. And it's a collection of poems. Didn't read it. I gave it to a friend. I need to get it back to read it, but there's no rush. We read it with Fundi Sani. The next one is How to Say Babylon by Safia Sinclair. Another amazing book that I enjoyed, a memoir. Safia Sinclair is a poet. Yeah, she's Jamaican, and the book is about her growing up in a strict Rastafarian family. Learned so much, made me want to visit Jamaica. Is on my dream destinations. I loved it. I really did. We read it together with Book of Sins book club, and I remember Safia Sinclair came on to the discussion. Really, really, she's amazing. She writes beautifully. I enjoyed the book. She's a poet, so it's just like you just inhale the book because it's so well written. Loved it. Next is Finding Me by Viola Davis. I'm like the last person to read this book. I read it with the Hangout Cafe. Viola Davis was really vulnerable in writing this book. She's Everyone knows Viola Davis. She's that girl. She's the EGOT. She's talented, and it was very raw and unflinching. A memoir that, wow, yeah, I loved it. Absolutely. I'm going to get a physical copy because I listened to it. I love listening to memoirs, especially if the author is the one doing the audiobooks. And Viola Davis is Viola Davis. The audiobook is, but I want to get the physical copy because I love the cover, and I believe I'll read it again. So absolutely recommend it. Sankofa by Chibundu Onuzo. This one I remember I borrowed it from my friend, and it follows this young woman in the UK. She's mixed. Her dad is from an African country. He came to the UK to study. So the country is fictional, and as he was studying, as he was a student, he fell in love with a white British woman, and they had a child. And then somehow after graduating, he went back to his country and became the president, and then later the dictator of this country. I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I didn't. It felt like it was written for another audience that isn't me. And then I think it's also popular, well, because it is written for that audience, and that audience came from it being chosen to be in the Reese Witherspoon book club pick, and it blew up, but I didn't resonate with it at all. Another book is Where the Children Take Us by Zain E. Asher, and this is also a memoir by, I think she's on CNN. She's a presenter on CNN, and she just talks about how her dad died and how her mom raised them as a single parent. I think there are 4 kids and they're all excellent in their careers, but I haven't read it. We read it with, I think, the Hangout Cafe, and I gifted it to my sister. I think it will resonate better with her than with me. And then last but not least is Love and a Little White Lie by Tammy Gray, and it follows the story of a young woman who the boyfriend or the husband has just separated. They've separated, and her life, she feels like her life has just ended. So she moves back to live with her auntie, who was also like her mom, raised her, and she's just hiding. She decides to like hide, but somehow, and she's not a Christian. She doesn't believe in God anymore, and she ends up getting a job in this church as the main pastor's personal assistant. And it was cute. Yeah, it was cute, but because there's a love that is bubbling under the surface, a love story. I think it's a part of a series, but I'll probably not read the rest of the books. But yeah, it was okay. It was okay. Wow. That was a lot of books, a lot of amazing books. When I look at all of them, it really highlights the power of reading, the power of book clubs. And each of these books has not only enriched my personal journey, but it has brought about these amazing and incredible moments of connection and learning with all the different book clubs that I'm in. And friendships, there's been a lot of friendships that have grown because of these books. So no money was wasted here. So if you've been thinking about joining a book club, I highly recommend it. If you're in Hamburg, you can join my book club if you want, but I would highly recommend joining a book club. Now I would want to hear from you. Have you read any of these books? Are you in a book club? What's the best book that you've read in your book club? Or what's that book that you keep on thinking about that you read together in a book club? Let me know in the comment section. And of course, don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any videos that I post. Bye.